Favorite foods and beverages of Native Americans. Traditional recipes and preparation methods. Native Americans, as the first inhabitants of the Americas, developed a rich and diverse culinary culture by utilizing the natural resources available in their environment. Their dietary habits varied greatly depending on the climate, vegetation, and animal populations of the regions they inhabited. This article provides an overview of Native Americans' favorite foods and beverages and how they were traditionally prepared. Corn, the foundation of Native American cuisine. Corn is considered one of the most essential food staples for Native Americans. Particularly for the Native communities in North America, corn was a nutritious and versatile food source. Cornbread, made from cornmeal, was a staple food for many Native American communities. Cornmeal was mixed with water and salt to form a dough, which was then baked in stone ovens or on hot stones. This bread was often eaten plain or served with meat and vegetables. Pozole. Pozole is a traditional corn dish of the Native Americans. It is made from hominy, a type of corn that has been treated with lime and then boiled. Pozole is typically enriched with meat, especially pork, and flavored with various spices. Meat and game. Game animals played a significant role in the diets of Native Americans. Tribes living on the Great Plains, for example, were particularly known for bison hunting. Bison meat was a highly nutritious and durable food source. Pemmican. Pemmican was a high-energy food prepared by Native Americans for long journeys or the winter months. This food was made by mixing dried bison meat, dried fruits, such as blueberries, and animal fat. Pemmican was easy to transport and could be stored for long periods without spoiling. Stew. Meat stews were also commonly prepared in Native American cuisine. This dish typically consisted of game meats, such as bison, deer, or rabbit, or poultry, root vegetables, like potatoes, carrots, and onions, and various herbs. The meat was slow-cooked in stone or earth ovens until tender. Fish and seafood. For Native American communities living in coastal regions, fish and seafood were a regular part of their diet. Salmon, in particular, was a staple food for tribes in the Pacific Northwest. Grilled salmon. Salmon was often grilled over an open fire or on hot stones. The fish was usually salted beforehand and seasoned with herbs such as sage and rosemary. Dried fish. Fish was salted and then dried in the sun to preserve it for long periods. This method prevented spoilage and allowed the fish to be stored as food reserves for the winter months. Vegetables and wild plants. Native Americans frequently used local plants and wild herbs in their meals. Three sisters. Corn, squash, and beans, known as the Three Sisters, were fundamental vegetables in Native American cuisine and were often grown together. Dishes made from these three plants were essential to the daily diet of Native Americans. For example, a stew made from cornmeal, beans, and squash provided a nutritious meal. Wild herbs and plants. Native Americans used wild plants and herbs from their surroundings for both food and medicinal purposes. For instance, amaranth leaves, wild spinach, were used in salads or cooked, while plants like chili peppers and wild onions were used as spices in dishes. Beverages. Traditional Native American beverages were often made from natural ingredients and commonly included medicinal herbs. Cedar tea. Cedar tree needles were brewed into tea by Native Americans. This tea was considered a natural remedy for colds and was believed to strengthen the immune system. Corn beer. Some Native American communities consumed a fermented drink made from corn called chicha. This beverage was produced by chewing or grinding corn kernels and allowing them to ferment. Saguaro wine. Southwestern Native Americans made fermented wine from the juice of the saguaro cactus fruit. This beverage played an important role in religious ceremonies and celebrations. Conclusion. The dietary habits of Native Americans reflect their harmonious relationship with nature. They made the most of the foods they gathered and hunted, creating nutritious and flavorful dishes from these ingredients. Native American cuisine is not just a way of eating. It is also an integral part of their cultural identity. Today, the traditional foods and beverages of Native Americans continue to be cherished as symbols of this cultural heritage. The historical challenges and weaknesses faced by Native American communities. Native American communities have lived on the American continent for thousands of years, developing their own cultures, languages, and social structures. However, throughout history, they have faced significant challenges and weaknesses. Below are some of the key difficulties encountered by Native Americans during their historical journey. Lack of unity. Native American communities consisted of many independent tribes, each with its own language, traditions, and social structures. These differences made it difficult for them to unite into a strong, cohesive force. When they encountered European colonizers, this lack of unity hindered their ability to mount a more effective resistance. At times, there were even hostilities between different tribes, making it challenging to develop a common defense strategy. Vulnerability to European diseases. When Native Americans first encountered Europeans, they had no immunity to diseases such as smallpox, measles, and influenza. This vulnerability led to devastating epidemics that severely reduced Native American populations. Diseases brought by Europeans resulted in the deaths of millions of Native Americans and caused the complete extinction of some communities. Weakness in military technology and tactics. Native American warfare tactics were often based on guerrilla-style attacks and hunting skills. However, these tactics were inadequate against the firearms and advanced military technologies brought by Europeans. Native Americans faced significant disadvantages against the superior weaponry of European colonizers and later the U.S. military. Additionally, they lacked large-scale coordinated armies, which left them militarily weaker in the face of European and American forces. Loss of land and displacement. Native American lands were rapidly occupied by European colonizers. As they lost their lands, Native Americans also lost access to the resources necessary for survival. Europeans used treaties and forced relocation policies to displace Native Americans from their ancestral lands. The forced placement of Native peoples on reservations made it difficult for them to maintain their traditional ways of life and threatened their cultural identity.